Jonathan Kent the Superboy was lost adrift, but he had so many more adventures than we could possibly know. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Superman issue number 9 and find out for ourselves, shall we? Alrighty then, so this issue opens up with a dream, or is it a premonition of a future? Basically, Superman is together with his whole family. They're older now, and it would seem that somehow, some way, they've managed to usher in a complete world peace. They're even trying to break bread right now with the House of Zod, which actually kind of ties in with a vision of the future that Zod had back in a previous issue. Is Bendis working up to something here? It certainly feels like it. Ultimately, this aside doesn't mean anything, not yet anyway. Superman, Jon, and Lois are still at the Fortress of Solitude, and Superboy is still telling his parents what became of him ever since he left his grandfather. Like, literally, that whole scene came about because Superman trailed off during his son's story, which, when we last left off with him, he was in Earth 3 fighting the Crime Syndicate. Or, at the very least, an Earth that is like Earth 3 that is ruled by a crime syndicate. Bendis, as always, is very vague on these things, as he should be, because in Darkseid War, we saw basically the entirety of the remaining members of the Crime Syndicate get killed. I'm sure someone in the comments section will tell me, well, you see, Joel, when Superman fused with his new 52 counterpart, that ended up yada yada yada. That's the go-to whenever things don't make sense in this series. Obviously, Jon isn't going to be able to beat an entire evil multiversal Justice League on his own, but he doesn't have to because Ultraman takes him away from the fight, taking a rather particular interest in him. Jon is also incredibly weakened in this world because there's no sun. Well, I mean, there is a sun, but it just works differently here. We know that because Ultraman later threatens to throw Jon into the sun, which is really confusing because Ultraman started off by saying, hey kid, you're losing your power because there is no sun. Ultraman traps Superboy in a volcano so he can basically, well, bore him to death. He likes the idea of this kid coming from another world to potentially find himself, much in the way Superman did, which again implies that Ultraman is well aware of Superman and says that they've clashed on multiple occasions, even though it really can't be multiple, but hey. For months it seems Jon is forced to listen to this evil version of his father yak, wax poetic, and occasionally cry. Feeling that, well damn, this is pretty awkward, Jon is able to summon up just enough strength to ride one of the lava flows out of the volcano. Granted, he's not out of trouble yet, he's still on an Earth controlled by the Crime Syndicate. He does, however, manage to surmise that if the Crime Syndicate is like the Justice League, they probably have a Hall of Justice, and there they probably have some teleportation tech. He'll have to hurry and get there soon as his powers are failing him, but moreover than that, he's going to have to get through this Earth Superwoman, who in this Earth, I forgot, is actually both Wonder Woman and Lois Lane at the same time. And wouldn't you just know it, evil mommy doesn't have nearly as much interest in Jon surviving as evil daddy did as the comic winds down. And so that was Superman issue number 9, everybody, and there were some interesting ideas at play here. I like the idea of Jon Kent the Superboy versus the Crime Syndicate. I just wish it wasn't this version. Older Superboy under Brian Michael Bendis really does seem to just be a brand new character, so if nothing else, I guess we should be happy that this whole arc seems to be devoted to getting to know this new guy. Heck, I wish more actually came of this idea of Ultraman kind of sort of wanting a son in Jon. Like, wouldn't it have been cool to see Jon have to pretend to be bad to try and cozy up to Ultraman so he could try and escape? But no, that plotline gets dealt with incredibly quickly. Ultimately, I'd give this issue a 6 out of 10. I didn't hate it. Even if I still disagree with a ton of the characterization, and if a majority of this issue wasn't really just sitting like Jon and listening to Ultraman talk.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, did you know, outside just making great weekly comic videos, I'm also on several comic book podcasts, some of which are very popular. There's the Weekly Pull, which the shirt I'm wearing right now. That one goes every other Tuesday. Then there's the Elseworlds Exchange over on the Comic Pop channel. That's every Wednesday around 3 to 5, give or take. And then how could I possibly forget the Comic Multiverse, the show hosted by myself and Matt of Fortress of Solitude. That one goes live on this channel every Wednesday at 8, and also SoundCloud and iTunes later on. Be sure to check out and subscribe to those if you haven't already. I assure you, you won't be mistaken.